I have a bizarre story for you guys that only reaffirms the idea that Donald Trump does not care about people who served for our country. I mean, at every step of the way, he has derided them, calling them losers and suckers. He has tried to distance himself from people who have served for our country if they got injured doing so. And this story takes it to a new level. I can very confidently say that the Democratic Party, the party of Kamala Harris and Tim Walz, they are the party of veterans. They are the party that not only want to help veterans after they get back from war, but that embrace the Constitution, embrace anybody who has served and fought for our country. Now, I'll break down this photo in 1 second, but first, I want to lay the groundwork by showing you this clip of Donald Trump just last week saying that the Medal of Freedom is better than the Medal of Honor, and I'll explain why that's wrong.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor. That's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman. It's very...
Disgusting comments, and I just see this as another iteration of what Donald Trump said about John McCain. He said something to the effect of, I like people who weren't captured, and what he's saying is he likes people who come back uninjured without any sort of experience or PTSD, kind of like himself, who never got the experience because he never actually went over there. But the reason why this is wild is explained in this article. Former President Donald Trump on Thursday said the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which honors civilians, is, quote, actually much better than the Medal of Honor, because service members who receive the nation's highest military decoration are often wounded or are awarded it after they pass away. And Trump was praising Republican megadonor Miriam Adelson, which honestly I think makes it much, much worse. Donald Trump was undermining the service of all of these people just to praise some Republican Trump sycophant. It's the latest in Trump's history of making disparaging comments about military service. Early in his presidential campaign in 2016, Trump attracted controversy by claiming then Senator John McCain, a political rival who served as a naval aviator, was not a war hero. I like people that weren't captured. And Donald Trump saying that John McCain wasn't a war hero and veterans not immediately flipping on him en masse was the first sign that some people are being sucked up into this Trump movement. Donald Trump knows nothing about service to anyone or anything but himself. For him to insult Medal of Honor recipients, just as he has previously attacked Gold Star families, mocked prisoners of war, and referred to those who lost their lives in service to our country as suckers and losers, should remind all Americans that we owe it to our service members, our country, and our future to make sure Donald Trump is never our nation's commander-in-chief again. So as this article points to, you cannot compare people who have served, people who have lost their limbs, lost their lives, lost fundamental parts of their life, maybe even have PTSD, to a Republican megadonor. Those two things are not on the same level at all, in the same way that J.D. Vance accusing Tim Walz of stolen valor does a disservice to veterans. I mean, Republicans, it's almost like they are intentionally trying to lose suburban women by calling them childless cat ladies. They are intentionally trying to lose black American voters by referring to VP Harris as not a real black woman or saying that she just turned black. And now they are trying to lose veterans. And the main story I will get to, at a campaign rally in Detroit on August 7th, about 2 or 3 weeks ago, J.D. Vance, the Republican nominee, accused Tim Walz of stolen valor for claiming to have carried a gun in war, even though Mr. Walz never saw active combat. Governor Walz served 24 years in the National Guard, but retired in order to run for public office. 2 months later, his unit was deployed to Iraq, but Governor Walz left before he even knew that they were leaving, and Tim Walz served for longer at that point than J.D. Vance had even been alive. 24 years is a long, long time. And this brings us to today. The Lincoln Project posted this photo that says, Trump today gives a thumbs up at the grave of a soldier. Disgraceful. And I want to ask the question, how many other people in this photo are giving a thumbs up? Nobody else is giving a thumbs up because it is a weird thing to do, but Donald Trump has a big old smile and is giving a thumbs up. Friend of the show, Adam Kinzinger, gave his opinion. He said, smiling thumbs up at the grave is unusual to say the least, never mind that Trump negotiated the deal and is the reason we left. And I just want to first of all thank Sergeant Darren Taylor Hoover for his service. On this show, we thank our veterans, we respect our veterans. None of this has anything to do with the veterans in this story. This all has to do with Donald Trump's bizarre behavior. Here we go. They take a photo again, and Donald Trump is seen holding an awkward thumbs up. And this is all based on the Afghanistan withdrawal that Donald Trump laid out the timetable for, and then tried to place the blame on Joe Biden for carrying out that exact same timetable. And if all we had was this odd photo, and we didn't know anything else about Donald Trump's history of disparaging remarks towards veterans, I would honestly say, okay, that is a bizarre photo, but it doesn't mean much. But when you take into account the totality of evidence, Donald Trump repeatedly saying nasty things about John McCain, repeatedly calling veterans suckers and losers, saying that he didn't want to give a speech at a certain cemetery because the people there weirded him out when they were in wheelchairs. Donald Trump has done all of this, and it has been confirmed by incredibly reliable military generals. Since Mr. Vance's accusation, the military records of both men have been dissected by the media, with Walz supporters pointing out that Mr. Vance, who was deployed to Iraq while working in the Public Affairs Department of the Marines, never saw hostile fire either. As a veteran, says the person who wrote this article, what concerns me most about this exchange is not the possibility of fighting among veterans, it is that the most harmful part of Mr. Vance's remarks, a disregard for the harmful effects of survivor's guilt, has gone seemingly unnoticed. And the person writing this article, who is a veteran themselves, makes a very good point that since Governor Walz served in the Marines, and this even applies to J.D. Vance too, we don't want to undermine J.D. Vance's experience, since they came back and they saw people who died, who didn't, they might feel a certain degree of survivor's guilt. They may feel guilty that people who they served with passed away and they never got to come back in the same way that Governor Walz did, and all J.D. Vance is doing is undermining Tim Walz's entire experience and in the process undermining survivor's guilt. The candidate's military records came under scrutiny after a video was posted on August 6 on social media, in which Mr. Walz advocated for gun control by saying, "We can make sure that those weapons of war that I carried in war are the only place that those weapons are at." And the next day, Mr. Vance responded by saying, "What was this weapon that you carried into war, given that you abandoned your unit?" And that is a crazy accusation to levy, especially since the accusation is not true at all. So the main takeaway of the story is not that Donald Trump struck a bizarre pose in front of the grave of a fallen veteran. Donald Trump striking one bizarre pose isn't the entire takeaway. It's that Donald Trump, along with his running mate J.D. Vance, have repeatedly, time and time again, undermined the service of military veterans, and not only undermined, but Donald Trump has directly said insane things about military veterans. And then a few years ago when he said stuff about McCain, it's just time and time again, Donald Trump says this insane stuff and he gets away with it, and it blows my mind. Either way, if you guys enjoyed this video, all that I ask is that you comment a blue heart, hit that subscribe button so you can be a part of this beautiful community that we are building. I recently opened up memberships, so if you want exclusive content, check out memberships, but have a great rest of your day, and see you.